The silence before the storm. Keanu Reeves arrived on set early, as he always did. The crew whispered about it like a quiet secret. Some stars showed up when the lights were ready and the cameras were warm, but Keanu was different. He walked with soft footsteps, a small thermos in hand, nodding to the lighting crew, the makeup team, the assistant director, and the janitor who scrubbed the hallway tiles. He greeted them by name. It's always by name. Armas joined 2 weeks later. The production was massive, and she had been nervous even before she stepped off the plane. It wasn't just the pressure of the role or the scale of the film, it was something heavier. The internet had not been kind lately. She read headlines that weren't really about her, but used her name. Comments that judged her smile, her laugh, her past, her silence. She didn't say much about it, but her shoulders held it all. The first day they shared a scene. Keanu noticed it was something in the way she kept her eyes down between takes, how she forced a smile that never quite touched her eyes. Called cut, and Anna would retreat into her chair like it was a shield. Crew members tiptoed around her silence, afraid to say the wrong thing, but Keanu didn't tiptoe. He sat beside her that afternoon, quiet at first. He didn't talk about the script or the lighting or the next stunt sequence. Instead, he offered her half of his sandwich. "This has avocado and too much salt," he said, "but it's better than those protein bars." Anna laughed a little. It surprised her. The next day, he brought coffee. The day after that, he asked her what she missed most from home. She said her mother's voice. He said mine too. It wasn't that Keanu was trying to fix anything. He didn't act like he had answers. But he listened in a way that made Anna feel like her silence was welcome, not judged. And slowly she started to talk again. They became a rhythm on set. Not loud, not flashy, just steady. People started noticing. But then came the interview. A well-known blogger published a piece that went viral overnight. It picked apart Anna's performance before the film even released. It said she was only cast because of her looks. It called her a distraction to Keanu's presence. The article didn't say it directly, but it was clear. They didn't believe she belonged. Anna didn't show up to set the next day. People whispered. The producer called her agent. The director adjusted the schedule. No one spoke aloud about the article, but it hung in the air like smoke. Keanu knew. He didn't ask permission. He didn't wait for the publicist. He opened his laptop that night and wrote something he didn't show to anyone. Then he sent it to the studio head and said, "Either you release this, or I walk." By noon the next day, it was everywhere. Short, powerful statement. No insults, no drama. Just truth. Ana de Armas is not just talented. She is essential. If you can't see that, you are not looking closely enough. It was signed simply Keanu.
Ow.
The internet exploded. Fans reposted it. Fellow actors commented hearts. One tweet read, "When Keanu speaks, we listen." Another said he didn't raise his voice, but the world heard him louder than anyone else. Anna saw it from her apartment. She had stayed up all night, scrolling through hate she tried to ignore. But that morning she read Keanu's words. Again and again, tears fell without warning. She wasn't crying because someone defended her. She was crying because someone believed her presence mattered. Later that day, she returned to set. As she walked in, there was no applause. No big moment. Just Keanu sitting on a bench reading a book. He looked up, smiled softly, and patted the seat beside him. She sat down. They said nothing. But something had shifted. The internet may have fallen in love, but Anna, she began to love herself again, and that was just the beginning. Echoes behind the camera the next few days on set felt different. Not because people were louder or more cheerful, because they were more careful, respectful. The whispers that had once followed Anna like shadows were quieter now. No more side glances, no more passive jokes disguised as compliments. Everyone had seen Keanu's message, and though he had never raised his voice, the impact had been louder than any shout. Anna returned to work with a calmer heart. But it didn't mean she was completely healed. There were still moments between scenes. It's in the makeup trailer, during lunch when doubt would creep in. She would read a message from a stranger saying she didn't deserve the role or overhear, a crew member hesitating to include her in discussions. Wasn't always direct. That's what made it hard. Prejudice often wore a polite face. Keanu watched without hovering. He was never overbearing. He didn't ask if she was okay every hour. Instead, he gave her space, but stayed close enough for her to reach out if she needed. Then came the rehearsal for the rooftop scene. It was a major moment in the film. Exchange under storm clouds, both characters on the edge of a decision. That could change everything. The pressure was high. The cameras weren't rolling yet, but everyone was watching. Anna delivered her lines. But something was off. Her voice cracked midway through the final sentence. Her eyes darted away, and the director called for a break. Keanu walked over slowly, gave her a bottle of water, and sat down beside her without speaking. Anna finally whispered, "I'm afraid I'm ruining it." Keanu looked at her. Really looked. "Why? Do you think that?" he asked gently. "Because I keep hearing those voices," she said. "Not yours. Not the director's, but the ones from before. The ones that say I'm not good enough." He nodded slowly. "Then let's try something," he said. They stood again. This time, he didn't look at the script. He looked at her. And just before they began, he said something no one expected. "This scene is about truth," he said softly, so only she could hear. "So give me yours, not the perfect one, not the one they want, just yours." Anna stared at him for a long moment. Then when the director called action again, something changed. She didn't act. She lived the moment. Her voice trembled, but not from fear, from raw emotion. Her hands shook. Her eyes filled. And when it was over, there was no applause. Just silence, a deep, heavy silence that came when everyone knew something real had just happened. The director slowly stepped forward. "That's the take," he said, almost in a whisper. Anna turned away quickly. Embarrassed by the tears she didn't mean to let fall. But Keanu was already there, handing her a tissue. "You weren't acting," he said. "I couldn't," she replied. "Exactly." Word of the scene spread quickly. Even before the official footage was edited, crew members began sharing how powerful it had been. Someone said they hadn't cried on set since their first film 20 years ago. Another said they'd never seen a performance like that from a young actress under pressure. Anna smiled, a little lighter now, but peace didn't last a few nights later. Anna's phone buzzed with a message from her cousin in Spain. "Do you know what they're saying about you now?" The message read, confused. She searched her name. A new article had gone viral. Not just cruel, but dangerously personal. It twisted her childhood, misquoted interviews, and suggested she had used Keanu to gain sympathy. The headline read, "Is Ana de Armas Hollywood's new manipulator?" Anna froze. Her breath became shallow. She sat alone in her apartment, knees pulled to her chest. The weight of it pressed down like concrete. All the progress, all the healing washed away by a single lie wrapped in a flashy headline. She didn't tell anyone at first, not even Keanu. But the next day, something gave her away. She didn't speak much. Her steps were slower. She avoided eye contact. She didn't respond to jokes or compliments. The sparkle that had begun to return to her eyes was missing. During lunch, she sat alone in a corner, her food untouched. Keanu watched for a while. Then, without a word, he sat across from her and slid his phone across the table. The screen showed a photo of a younger Keanu standing on a red carpet. Beside it was a headline from years ago. "Keanu Reeves, too boring for Hollywood." Anna blinked. "They said that about you?" she asked. He nodded. "They said worse," he said softly. "They said I was wooden, unrelatable, irrelevant. One critic even called me the ghost of Hollywood's past." Anna stared at him. "But you're you," she said. "And so are you," he replied. Anna laughed gently. Covering her mouth, Keanu leaned forward, his tone quiet but steady. "People who try to build their reputation by breaking others, they never last. But the ones who walk through the storm and keep going, they do. You're still here. That means something." Anna didn't speak for a while, but her eyes glistened, not with sadness, but with something stronger. She whispered, "Thank you." Keanu smiled. "Don't thank me yet," he said. "We still have a long way to go." The betrayal in the trailer sun was high over the set that afternoon, painting golden streaks across the pavement. The shoot was moving quickly now. The cast had developed a rhythm, and the director smiled more often. For the first time in weeks, Anna felt something close to peace. But peace is fragile between takes. Anna stepped into her trailer to change wardrobe. It was quiet, a small space with a mirror, a rack of clothes, and a soft couch where she often sat to breathe. It felt safe, until she found the folder. A thick manila envelope sat on the table. Not hers, not from wardrobe. No name written on the front, just sitting there. She almost ignored it, but something made her open it. Inside were printed pages. Dozens of them. Her old interviews, screenshots from her social media. Half were taken out of context. Half were complete lies. And on top of it all was a single note typed on plain white paper. "This is what they'll release if you don't. Step down." Anna's fingers trembled. It wasn't just a threat. It was blackmail. Someone wanted her off the film. Someone inside the production. Someone close enough to leave that folder inside her trailer without being noticed. She sat down, trying to breathe. But the walls felt like they were closing in. Her heart pounded. Her throat tightened. It was different from the online hate. This was deliberate. This was calculated. It was close. She didn't call Keanu right away. Part of her still hesitated. To bother him? He had done so much already. He had defended her, listened to her, supported her when no one else did. Maybe she could handle this alone. Maybe it would go away. But the next morning, a second note appeared. This time slipped under her trailer. "Door, you've had your moment. Now step back before we push." She couldn't ignore it anymore. Keanu found her near the edge of the lot, sitting on the curb with her head in her hands. He didn't ask what was wrong. He simply sat beside her, waited, and let the silence hold them both until she was ready. "When?" she finally told him. His eyes darkened, not with anger, but with something deeper, quiet, focused kind of resolve. "Show me," he said. They walked to her trailer. She handed him the folder. He flipped through the pages slowly, studying every detail. Then he looked at her and said, "This won't stand." But Anna was scared. "If we tell the studio, they'll think I'm causing trouble. What if they believe it? What if they think I'm weak?" Keanu shook his head. "You're not weak. We're not letting this slide." Evening, Keanu called his lawyer. Quietly, carefully, without drawing attention, they began tracing where the folder came from. Meanwhile, Anna stayed strong on set. She delivered her scenes, smiled in interviews. No one knew the storm she carried in her, except Keanu. A few days later, the investigation paid off. Security footage showed a production assistant slipping into her trailer late at night. The assistant had access to almost everything. He was quiet, unnoticed. But he was also desperate, owed money, angry about being passed over for promotion, bitter about how quickly Anna had become admired. He was working with a tabloid agency, trading private info for money. When the producers found out, they fired him immediately. The studio issued a public apology. Keanu made sure it happened. But he also made sure Anna's name wasn't dragged into it further. The headlines focused on the betrayal, not on her still. Anna couldn't stop shaking that night. Even after the threat was gone, Keanu brought over tea. They sat on the balcony of her rented apartment, the city lights flickering below, I thought. "I was past the worst of it," she whispered. "You were," he said, "and you still are. But storms sometimes circle back. That doesn't mean we stop walking." She looked at him, tears threatening to fall again. "I don't know what I'd do if you weren't here." He smiled gently. "You'd still be standing." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "Maybe, but not like this." They sat in silence for a long time, the kind of silence that heals. But even in that peace, neither of them saw the next test coming, because the real challenge wasn't the hate from outside, It was the choice that would soon divide them, one that would question not just their friendship, but their very values. The offer they couldn't ignore at the studio was buzzing. A major producer from a global streaming platform had flown in without warning. His name was Michael Drayton. Powerful, polished. Every word calculated like it was written by a marketing team. His shoes alone could pay someone's rent for a month. He didn't come to visit sets often, but when he did, something big was always about to happen. The film Keanu and Anna were working on had already drawn early praise from insiders. The rooftop scene, still unreleased, had leaked in a private screening circle, and whispers said it could be Oscar-worthy. Now, Drayton wanted more. He didn't just want the film. He wanted a new project, one centered around Keanu and Anna together, a full series, prestige level, big budget, global release, when he brought them into a quiet meeting room. The offer felt surreal. "Your chemistry is electric," Drayton said, voice smooth. "People don't just want to see you together. They believe in you. They trust you." Stayed. Quiet Keanu leaned back, watching the man carefully. "What's the story?" Keanu asked. Drayton smiled. "It's a reimagining. Romantic, dramatic, raw. Your characters, two former lovers, torn apart by war, reunited in a divided world. Very political, very emotional. And here's the twist: Anna's character betrays. Yours in the end." Anna's fingers tightened around her glass. "Betrays," she repeated. "Yes," Drayton said, nodding with enthusiasm. "We frame her as complicated, flawed. She uses the man who trusts her. It creates this massive climax audience's love conflict." Keanu was silent. Anna forced a polite smile. They both knew what this was. Drayton wasn't interested in honoring their truth, their strength, or their story. He was interested in tension, and drama that could be packaged and sold. And worst of all, he wanted to twist Anna's image again, this time on screen, wrapped in fiction but echoing all the lies that had haunted her before. After the meeting, Anna sat quietly in her trailer. The contract was on the table. The numbers were life-changing. Keanu walked in without knocking. He could tell something wasn't right just by the silence. She handed him the script without speaking. He read it slowly. Then looked at her. "How do you feel about it?" he asked gently. She shrugged. "I should be grateful," she said. "This kind of offer doesn't come twice. Maybe it's just acting. Maybe I'm being too sensitive." Keanu set the script down. "You're not being sensitive," he said. "You're being honest." "But what if I say no?" she asked. "What if I ruin everything because I'm afraid of playing someone like that?" Keanu didn't answer right away then. Softly, he said, "We don't have to take every door that opens, especially the ones that lead us somewhere we don't." "Believe in," Anna stared at him. "What if I disappoint people?" "You won't," he said. "And even if you do, it's better than disappointing yourself." The room was quiet for a while. Anna walked over to the window, looking out at the lot where set workers carried props and adjusted lights. Normal life continued. But her world was spinning. "They'll say I walked away from the biggest opportunity of my career," she whispered. "Then let them talk," Keanu said. "They talk anyway." Anna turned, her eyes wet but steady. "Would you still walk with me if I said no?" Keanu didn't hesitate. "Always." Later that night, they met with Drayton again. Anna spoke first. "I'm honored," she said. "I can't take the role. Not like this. Not when it asked me to tear down everything I've spent the last year trying to rebuild." Drayton's smile faded. "We can rewrite it," he said quickly. "We can make her sympathetic." Keanu shook his head. "Sympathy isn't the problem," he said. "Truth is." Drayton sighed, stood, and straightened his suit. "You're making a mistake," he said coldly. "The world moves fast. This is your moment. Don't waste it." But Keanu and Anna just stood together, calm and steady. "Then let the moment pass," Anna said softly. "We'll make another." They left the meeting together, studio lights behind them, glowing like distant stars. Outside in the cool evening, they walked slowly. Anna looked up at the sky. "Do you think we'll regret this?" she asked. Keanu thought for a moment. "Only if we forget why we did it." Anna nodded, her hand brushing his as they walked. The world didn't explode the next day. There were no massive headlines. No angry fans. Just a quiet return to set. Quiet knowing that they had protected something invisible, but sacred, something that would matter more than money or fame. But the quiet wouldn't last, because someone on the outside had been watching someone who didn't like what they stood for, and soon they would try to use everything against them. The lie that caught fire started with a single tweet. Just one line. Ana de Armas and Keanu Reeves turned down a major deal because she couldn't handle being the villain. The tweet didn't even come from a journalist. It came from an anonymous account with a cartoon avatar. It's no profile picture, no verified checkmark. But within hours, it was everywhere. People screenshotted it, quoted it, argued over it. By sunset, it had grown into something much worse. Suddenly, blogs were writing full stories with headlines like, "Ana too fragile for Hollywood?" "Keanu caught in drama he didn't sign up for behind the curtain? Is Ana de Armas holding Keanu back?" None of it was true, but truth doesn't always win the internet. Ana tried to ignore it at first. She muted her name on social media, turned off notifications, buried herself in work. She told herself it would pass like all the other storms, but this one felt different. This time, the hate wasn't random. This time, felt planned. Because the next article mentioned the leaked script, the one she and Keanu had rejected. It quoted entire scenes. And worse, it described their meeting with the producer. Things that had never been made public. Private words twisted into something ugly. Someone had leaked it. Someone from inside. Ana's heart dropped when she read the line. According to sources, Reeves was blindsided by Ana's decision to walk away. It was subtle, but it was a knife. A quiet suggestion that she had betrayed him, that she had cost him something he wanted. Keanu called her the moment he saw it. "It's not you," he said. "You know that, right?" "I don't know anything." "Anymore," Ana whispered. Her voice cracked. For the first time in weeks, she couldn't hide the weight. "They're turning you against me. They're trying to break us apart." Keanu didn't speak right away. Then calmly he said, "They can't break what they didn't build." Paused. "You and I, we started this with truth, not deals, not headlines, not roles." Truth. Ana closed her eyes, a single tear sliding down her cheek. "I just wanted to do something good," she said. "I didn't want to hurt anyone." "You didn't," Keanu replied. "They're just scared of people who don't play by their rules." But even as he spoke, more noise flooded the internet. A podcast episode dropped that weekend with an industry insider, claiming Keanu was frustrated with the direction of the partnership and looking to move forward solo.
The lie
Hit hard because Keanu's silence, up to that point, had been gentle, thoughtful, but now it was being used against him. Fans split. Some defended them. Others turned. People began choosing sides like it was a war. Hashtags popped up. Threads exploded. Videos appeared, breaking down body language from old interviews, like they were clues in a crime. Ana stayed indoors. Keanu visited her one evening. She didn't answer at first, but he knocked again. Not hard, just once. She opened the door slowly. Her eyes were tired. Her voice almost gone. "I feel like everything we built is being poisoned," she whispered. Keanu stepped inside, sat on the couch, handed her a small folded paper. "Read it," he said. It was a handwritten letter. Simple, steady, just. A few sentences. "We started something real. That's rare. We'll not let noise destroy it." When truth stands beside truth, lies fall on their own. Ana looked up. "Are you sure?" she asked. He nodded. "We've come too far to walk backward." Next morning, Keanu published an open video statement. No makeup, no studio lighting, just him. Sitting in a quiet room, his voice calm, steady. Ana didn't walk away because she was afraid. She walked away because she was brave. Because she wanted to protect the story, not bend to someone else's version of it. And I stood beside her. "I still do." He paused. "You can believe whatever you want, but the truth is still standing, and so are we." Within minutes, the internet caught fire, but this time, it burned in their favor. Fans began reposting older interviews, showing their quiet bond. Behind-the-scenes moments. Laughter, kindness, moments no one had noticed. Before, journalists who had doubted her now wrote new stories. Anna and Keanu, a quiet stand against Hollywood pressure. Others called it a masterclass in grace, but not. Everyone was happy, because the same producer, the one whose offer they rejected, was now facing questions about his practices. The leak was being traced, and somewhere, someone had a reason to make this stop before it got worse. Anna and Keanu knew the battle wasn't over, but for the first time, they felt the tide turning, not just in the headlines, in the hearts of people who finally saw the truth. The final Namina stood in the studio courtyard, arms folded, eyes scanning the cloudy sky above. The noise had quieted a little. The fake headlines had slowed. Keanu's statement had softened many hearts. And yet, something still felt off. A quiet tension, like the last page of a book, hadn't been turned. A few feet away, Keanu ended a phone call and walked toward her. "They traced the leak," he said calmly. Anna looked at him. "Who was it?" "Keanu." Didn't answer right away. He handed her a printed report short. Official final. Anna read the name. Her fingers went cold. "No," she whispered. "No, that's not possible." But it was the leak, the script, the meeting details. The rumors had all come from someone on her own team, her former manager, someone she had trusted from the start of her career, the one who helped her land auditions, who answered her midnight phone calls when she doubted herself, the one who promised to protect her image and who had quietly sold her out. The manager had signed an off-the-record deal with a tabloid chain in exchange for financial backing on a new agency. They had built a narrative, turned down roles, exaggerated emotions, scripted behind-the-scenes drama. They had even planted the rumor about Keanu being tired of her. "They needed me to fall," Anna said softly, "so they could build someone else up." Keanu nodded. They needed a headline. You were just the story they could twist. Anna sat down on the bench beside the fountain. She didn't cry. Not this time. This time, she just breathed. Deep, steady, slow. "I trusted them," she said. "I defended them." "I know," Keanu said. "But the story's not theirs anymore." Anna looked up at him. "Do we go public?" Eyes met hers. "Only if you want to." Anna paused. Then she shook her head. "No," she said. "I don't want this to become a circus. I don't want to fuel more fire. I want to move forward." Keanu smiled slightly. "Then we move forward." And they did. In the weeks that followed, Anna quietly cut all ties to her former manager. She didn't give interviews about it, didn't call out names. Good. But she began working with a new team, one that listened. One that asked instead of assuming. She also began writing. Not a script, not a press statement. A journal. Just for herself. Words that held her pain, her doubts, her resilience, and slowly, something beautiful began to grow. Not just fame. Respect. Because audiences saw her differently now, not just as an actress, not just as someone who stood beside a beloved star, as a woman who chose truth when it would have been easier to stay silent. And Keanu. He kept doing what he had always done. He showed up. Early, quiet, kind, but now. People looked at him differently too, because in an industry that often rewards the loudest voice, he had shown that quiet strength could still move mountains. Months passed. The film finally premiered. The rooftop scene, the one they had rehearsed with trembling voices and shaking. Hands left people in tears. Reviews poured in. Critics called it raw, human, unforgettable. Audiences stood and clapped, not just for the story, but for the hearts behind it. During the premiere, Anna and Keanu stood side by side. Cameras flashed, microphones leaned in. But neither said much. They just smiled. Anna looked at him, her voice soft but steady. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" he asked. "For standing still when everything else moved." He looked at her, eyes kind. "You did the same." That was the truth. Because in a world that tried to twist their story, fill it with betrayal, pressure, and noise, they had written their own ending. quietly, bravely, together.